Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Imperfectly Graceful. We are so excited to share with you today's topic because it is an important one. Well, we feel it's an important one, and it is not conforming to the norm. Now, we know that this is a general topic, but we're going to be talking about a couple of specific things that we've sort of gone through personally with not conforming to the norm, and we're going to share our experiences and what that process looks like for us and does look like for us whenever we are going through something that we don't want to conform to. So Rhonda, welcome to, we're
Thank
having so
you.
much fun, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely, we are. And what is adding to the energy of this show is, the amazing feedback we have been receiving from our audience and the ladies who have watched this. I want to say a big thank you. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch episode number 1 and for taking the time to give us your feedback. That was really super valuable for us.
Yes, a huge thank you to everyone who watched, which it just made us feel so good, and we celebrated the success of our first episode. And like Rhonda said, we appreciate so much the feedback, people who've reached out in inboxes to let us know that they felt like they were sitting in the room with us. Like, that's huge. This is the vibe we were going on. So yay, thank you so much. And we're hoping that today's episode is also as much valuable, and the future ones as well. So Rhonda, do you want to start off the things, roll things off with our topic?
Yes. Yeah, it is something that I'm really excited that I'm going to be sharing about this experience, and I'm sure Harjot is as excited as well. So why did we decide that we should talk about this idea of not conforming to whatever we are expected to do, like what others expect us to do and what we ourselves expect from ourselves as well. So I'm gonna start with the story, how this happened, and why we want to talk about this. So in December 2019, the last 2 weeks of December, as usual, Harjot and I, we would be planning the next year and giving ourselves enough time to start the new year on the right foot. And we would be doing so much work in terms of planning and setting our goals for the next year, and when it comes, of course, to our business. And that is what I thought that I would be doing during the last 2 weeks of December. But then something inside me was telling me, no. But I didn't give it much thought until Harjot, she reached out and she was telling me, okay, I need some tough love because this is the period where we're expected to
pull each other's socks and say, do the work.
Yes, do the work. And then I felt like, no, that is not aligned. That's not what I want to do. And I told Harjot, listen, I don't think that love is what you need. I think you need the soft one. Remember, Harjot?
Sometimes sounds very bizarre to me.
And to me as well, because the year before, you and I had this big session, long session of
New Year's party. Yeah,
exactly. It was a party, and so I think it caught me by surprise. It felt like I don't want to do it the way it is supposed to go, the way everyone is now doing it, the way we have done it the year before. Mm-hmm. And my answer to Harjot was, okay, Harjot, I don't think you need tough love, and neither do I. I think we need to give ourselves these 2 weeks to love ourselves even more, to kind of refresh our own self-love energy, and to prove to ourselves that we love ourselves that much, and that it's not about performing, it's not about proving to ourselves anything, or even to others. Like it's not about us wanting to prove ourselves. It is not that. And that is where we started a beautiful journey, like for 2 weeks, and it was really, really, really fun.
Well, I mean, I do want to add though that although like we both, although we were both so committed for those 2 weeks to just feel what we were feeling and just kind of own whatever our true experience was during those holidays. However, I want to say like practicing self-love during that time was very hard for me. I did practice it, but I do want to share, my perspective and tell you that anchoring into self-love helped, but the whole process of reminding myself and staying committed was very difficult, because during the holidays, when the norm is to feel jolly, to feel good, be around family, surrounded by everyone you love, I just felt shitty. And the best thing I did for myself during that time was really own the experience that I was having, instead of making myself feel guilty or get upset at myself for wanting to change that feeling, or just feel frustrated about how come I'm not feeling happy. I have so much to be grateful for. I'm blessed, but it's just I felt shitty, and I owned that experience, and that was the biggest act of self-love I could have done to start that journey of 2 weeks of staying committed to self-love. Right, Rhonda?
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
helping
And
myself
yeah,
that time.
a lot of, thank you. A lot of resistance came up, of course, because the critical mind, your inner masculine is gonna say, that's not how you do it.
I'm always there. I'm 9 out of 10 times I'm in the masculine. I feel.
Well, yeah, it's there. It's always speaking to us, and yeah, it was creating that resistance for me as well. And I realized that you never graduate out of self-love. It's not like, because like at the beginning of my journey, it starts with self-love, and to to for some time I thought like, okay, like I'm done with that. I have built that self-love. I have like gone through that process, and then okay, now I just go go on normally in life. But what I felt is that we need to reaffirm that to ourselves. I think this self-love, it exists all the time within us, and all the time we have to show it to ourselves. And that is something, I'm glad that I gave myself that gift of reaffirming to myself my own self-love, like in that way, in a way of um, like you said, being okay with all of that resistance coming up, and
Yeah.
still listening to my intuition and realizing that this is exactly what I need, versus what I'm expected to do, or versus what feels safe for my inner masculine, because performance is this way, not that way. Right, to our inner masculine. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like fun, not easy, but fun, and I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah. So the point that we want you guys to focus on, the first one is when it comes to not conforming, it's not about just being in the energy of not conforming to anything or everything. It's about what you're truly not feeling in alignment with, and a lot of self-love is required. So owning and acknowledging how you're really feeling about something that you are normally expected to feel about. And if you feel differently, own that and acknowledge how you actually feel, because that is the first step to move forward and really grow through that experience. I mean, we've gone through that with our career changes, which we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But specifically, it was during the December time compared to our last year where we were very, very, setting our goals and planning our months for 2019. And this time it was just like, I'm okay with not doing that. I'm happy here. And getting to that place where we felt we're happy here took work. And every year the energy is slightly different. I don't know whether it's subconsciously we think, oh, new year, energy different. But also it's like we as humans are sort of concluding how the year was going. And we're kind of getting ready to welcome the new year. I mean, we all do that, right? And so you're right, it's just the energy is different. And I feel like this year is really compelling me to be even more authentic and be very bold and expressive and really speak my truth. So I feel like my word this year, or the intention this year, is express. Like, doesn't matter what it is. And it's so fitting because we're really expressing through this show as well. So you're right, it's just the energy. And for me too, it was just like, yeah, like, not conform. Like, I don't want to feel fake. I don't want to feel fakely happy, because that's just not true happiness. I don't even know if that's the thing.
Absolutely.
So I think coming to that point of being okay with not overly planning the new year gave us that room to breathe and really connect here. And we're both the believers that you have to be solid here in order for your life to be solid outside. Because if you're flailing on the inside, none of the shit's gonna make sense on the outside. You guys can tell how we passionately talk now. I think our passionate talks are seeping through unfiltered now, but yeah. Okay, so Rhonda, what I want to talk about is, so first is acknowledging and owning that. Tell everyone a little bit more about your experience around, how were you individually were able to create that way forward for yourself. Was there an approach that you usually would take to move forward through a rough phase like that, where you're working through not conforming and staying authentic?
Well, at first I thought that, this is just going to be a phase and then it will be over and things will go back to normal. At the beginning of the year, I will just go back to my masculine mind. But what I received from that experience was that, at first, it did take a little bit of planning, because, we would plan the tasks that we wanted to do, the things that we enjoyed more of, and we were like coming into the action with the intention of gifting this to ourselves with a lot of love, with a big amount of unconditional love to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to look at 2019 with different eyes. I was able to see how much progress I had created during that year. This gave me a lot of confidence in myself, and it strengthened my belief in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I had done it the other way around, I would have been like trying to evaluate myself against outer measures, or I would probably be comparing myself to the results that others have created in their own businesses, and that would not have given me that energy. And so moving forward, I realized that this is the type of energy that I want to instill in my actions. The energy of self-love, that I am doing this action because I am expressing that part within me, because I deserve that.
Yeah.
I'm taking that action because I am confident in my own abilities, that this action will create the results that I want.
I love that, infusing the energy of your actions or anything with this energy of self-love. It just elevates everything that you do. For me, I think that I love this about each of us. Like, you were the first person who's always told me that I'm very feminine in the way I do things. And it just lights me up every time you say it, because I've always tend to be somebody who's just sort of been in the, well, I feel like I've been in the masculine, like, I have a very soft sensual side, but I'm also very like logical and like scientist mind and data oriented, and I like investigating. Okay, I like analyzing. It's fun for me. It's always worked for me. So during this time, how I create a way forward is, um, I need to investigate, like, what are the things that are making me feel out of alignment here. I need to identify them, for me to be like, okay, and sometimes when I cannot find data around me, I know that it's something within me that just isn't making sense. And so, I mean, not conforming is something I've done on all my life, I think. And I'm sure that's probably true for you as well. We're like the black sheeps. Because I mean, who walks away from a career in medicine as an East Indian brown person? Not many people. Like, I'm probably the only person I know, Um, so, I mean, I've always done that. I think that there's a lot of mindset work that's involved here, like that self-love and holding yourself, grounded when the easiest thing is to just sort of get distracted and like go with the flow and conform. That's when mindset work is the hardest, but that's what self-love commitment for me looks like. Really working on my own mindset, figuring out where am I being fear-based, where am I experiencing scarcity in my mindset. And so I've always done that. I think the thing for me that really works is getting to a place of self-belief, and that coming to that place of trust and feeling confident in myself, that although I love when I see success of others, like there are times where you feel like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, but oh, so and so is already, and then you just feel insecure. And for me, it's never about the other person's success. I'm always happy. I feel so happy when I see other people succeeding, because that excites me. Because for me, that's like, oh, this is a possibility. Like, we can all do it, right?
Yeah.
But I think whenever I feel a little insecure, it's always like, oh, there's some shit that I need to work on, and I'm just trying to distract myself and not wanting to work on that. So I think it takes a lot of confidence and courage to really be honest with yourself. And that's something I practice, just self-honesty, like brutal honesty, with love. For me, that's love, right? So yeah, and I think this is something that can be practiced not just in your personal life, like something you don't want to conform in your personal life, but also in business. This is such an important tool for me in my business too, not conforming. Really, so the energy that I'm sitting in now is, I couldn't give a rat's behind where everyone else is, because I'm happy with the way things are going for me. And I know this is what makes me an abundant person. Not because everything is perfect. It's because everything I do feels authentic, aligned, and, just good.
My kind of thing, my energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
like,
me. This feels great. I feel confident. I'm satisfied. I'm content. I'm at joy. And when you create things, when you do things, when you show up for relationships from that place, when you interact with others from that place, when you create content, or, serve clients from that place, it is just so much more easier. And I don't want to say that it's never not difficult. It's just easier in the sense that you don't feel like you're doing something you hate, which I feel like a lot of people experience when they're showing up to work. And I mean, I'm not saying leave your job. I'm saying figure out where you feel like you're conforming and your soul's just not aligned with that. Work on that.
Yes. And you know what, Harjo? I think it also gives permission to others.
Yeah.
And it inspires them to, be okay with just being, with expressing who you are, and at core.
We're able to talk about it now, but oh my gosh, December was so chaotic for me inside, and I'm one of those people who cannot, I'm not comfortable when I don't know, when I can't control something about me, within me, or just around me for myself, like whether it's my time, whether it's my energy. And so it's very uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's resistance showing up.
yeah, so creating a way forward is it's infuse your actions, be in self-love, commit to it, do mindset work, build that self-belief and trust in yourself, be confident, and be fairly warned that it's going to be hard, but that's when you know you're doing it right. When it feels hard, staying committed, sticking to it. We don't want to give you the wrong idea that, oh, it's just wishy-washy, fluffy stuff. You journal a bunch of things and next morning you're going to wake up. No, sometimes 2 weeks will go by, and finally at the end of the 2 weeks, you're like, oh, I'm so glad we did this because now I'm here,
Yes. Yeah, I truly can't count it like it wasn't a productive period. To me, it was like, yeah, super productive, really. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I listened to my intuition.
Yeah,
And yeah, it just says, you can do things uh, in a lot of different ways, really.
so true. Maybe mentioning a few other things that you did, certain things, rituals, routines, whatever practices that you do that helps during that period, and also something that usually doesn't help during the period of when you are making a choice that isn't the norm in the society or isn't the norm in the whatever.
Um, well, I can say that not a lot changed in terms of the actions themselves, but like, because I already have my own energy nurturing morning and evening routines.
Yeah.
But I think with time they become soulless, flavorless, and that was the turning point. In that period, I was more aware of what type of energy I would come into that, like, because I'm always reminding myself, this morning routine, this is a gift that I am giving to myself. I'm not doing it because I have to get my mindset the right. I have like to get my mindset to a right space, or to the right energy, so that I could perform from that place.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't about that. I was like, I'm doing this because I enjoy it, because I love it, because it is good for me. For example, my morning routines are about meditation, journaling, gratitude, and um, physical movement.
Yeah.
Um, but and I also love being in nature. And what I did is, the extra thing that I did is that I would do my morning walks in nature.
Yeah.
Although it was like cold, it was winter, but I was determined to just enjoy, just be in the energy of nature, and just enjoy that energy. um what else?
What's something that you feel that doesn't help during that period?
What didn't help is me listening to the resistance, because it would say, this is not productive, you should be like posting, you should be like creating the schedule for January. And if I had surrendered to that resistance, I don't think I would have gained so much from that experience. And again, it was not less productive. Like, my performance at work, it wasn't any less than the usual, but my energy was totally different. I was enjoying things more. I was more aware of my energy, and what am I taking from this? What kind of energy am I taking from this experience, or from this interaction, or from this action that I'm taking? So for me, yes, what would not work is me listening to the resistance, plus like not listening to my intuition. um, I think that this is one of the biggest mistakes we as women do, is not listen to our own intuition. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's always right. Awesome. For me, it was, like in terms of specific things, I will mention that does help during, and this is something I, practice constantly, and I have been, especially in the last couple of years, is becoming silent. And by that, I mean getting to that place within where I can shut the noise out. And one of the practices that are crucial for me that I just cannot imagine not doing is practicing silent meditation. And so in the morning, I have to have my time, like usually if I'm lucky, can have at least an hour in the morning to myself, where I'm doing my silent meditation, my yoga, and also, journaling. And I usually like to do my journal after my silent meditation, because that's when my intuition comes forward. That's when, and I mean, this, I also rely a lot on my intuition, but I'm somebody who, in a period of stress or chaos, can experience a lot of anxiety. And to switch that noise out, to quiet it down, I need to calm down my mind and my body. And so just breathing, silent meditation, nothing fancy, no chanting or anything, just sitting there silently with myself, with my breath, until something comes forward. And at times nothing does, and that's also an answer, right? When nothing comes, that's also an answer, and you have to just surrender and be patient. So that's something that really helps me during that time. The other thing is, for me to really identify the intangible results that I am striving to create. Because sometimes when we get so focused on the tangible results, we miss out on the big picture. And the thing that works for me is anchoring myself into, or striving to pursue, the intangible results in everything I do. And that's what helps me reach my goals. That's what helps me create, whether it's a personal goal I'm working on, professional. So intangible result would be, I want to feel freedom with my time. I want to feel freedom with my energy and expression. So whatever that looks like, the tangible would look like, while I'm able to create posts consistently this week, fully expressing who I am, whatever I want to say, just to give you guys an example, right? And so, focusing on the intangible, because I think a lot, like, people are always saying set smart goals, and I'm all for it. I help my clients do it. But I think that we don't focus enough on the intangible results. And something that you said earlier, Rhonda, I really, really appreciated, was that at the end of 2019, when we're sort of reflecting back on what have I achieved, I think it's so easy for us to focus on what we didn't achieve, like the specific tangible results. But really what helped me during this period was to finally focus on the intangibles. Like, was I a happy human? Was I authentic? Was I true? How much did I empower the women I worked with? The results they got, the impact I created. And sometimes you can't measure those things. You can't measure how much you love your job. You can't measure how much you love the people in your life. You just can't measure those things. So those are the things that we want you guys to focus on too, the intangibles, because that's what brings in the tangible results. So I think I went on a tangent, but what I was really trying to say was self-reflection is huge. That's something that works for me. That's through silent meditation. For you, that could look like something entirely different. That could be walking in nature, which I also love doing. But I mean, where I live, sometimes it's -15 outside, and that's probably not a good idea. So whatever works for you to do, really self-reflect and be honest with you, so you can finally let that intuition communicate with you. What's something that doesn't work for me? It is, I usually don't like to seek advice. I haven't done that, especially when I'm sitting in like in muddy waters where I don't know what's going on, because here, what I feel is whenever I go to someone else, and I'm not fully clear on what is it that I'm looking for, it confuses me more. So I don't like advice seeking. I'd rather, like, I'll work with a coach, or I'll come to Rhonda. I really appreciate when somebody can just kind of prompt me so that that stuff can unravel. So that's what I don't like, listening to opinion and just kind of blindly follow what is the norm. Again, theme of the episode. So that's something I don't like doing. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is maybe that's something I also need to work on. It's just I get really uneasy and unsettled when I hear way too many different options and opinions, and I haven't been clear. So I think that the point I'm really trying to drive home here is come home here, get clear on who you are, what you want, before you seek advice from someone. And please know, I'm not saying that seeking advice when you are going through something rough is wrong. It's not. I'm a huge believer in going to get therapy. I'm a huge believer of getting coaching. I mean, I am a coach. I would never say that's not a good idea, but I think there's a difference between blindly going to someone else and trusting what they have to say about your situation and your life versus you being clear of how do you want to handle this,
What I realized, let me add this, just like right now,
Yeah.
through this talk, I realized that we did establish that point of balance between our masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
Do you notice that? Do you feel that? I It just came to me when you're talking about what we have done, and like the shifts we have created, given that we didn't stop being productive at work. I think that we imperfectly established the balance of our inner masculine and feminine energy
Yeah.
at that point. So I think we deserve to give ourselves a pat on the shoulder.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do some feminine wave
Yes,
dance, which, by the way, I really
yes,
like.
to my inner feminine and my inner.
Yeah, and the thing I want to, before I come to respond to what you just said, I do want to say, I think we should totally do an episode on feminine and masculine, and this is something Rhonda is an expert on. If some listeners or viewers are wondering, what are they talking about, masculine, feminine? I think we'll do an episode on that. It's a fun concept, and I personally love being feminine. I feel like whenever we're there, we're in the flow, and this is something I learned from Rhonda. And a tip I completely forgot actually to cover this is there's something that I learned from Rhonda, and it's a practice that I practice. It's a thing I practice, is intuitive dancing, and it is amazingly helpful it's interesting. Maybe is this going to be TMI if I share what it looks like to stay committed and how difficult it can be to stick to your goals even when something is off. So when we sat down to record this episode, what you might not notice is that I actually am experiencing quite a lot of anxiety today, and it was, quite visible on my face when we first met today. But, you have to show up and be okay with being uncomfortable sometimes and still be functional and still show up for your life, because you can't allow certain things to keep holding you back. And I think that is the gist of what we're talking about is it's okay if you're going through a shitty experience. It's okay if something does not make sense to you. You get to change that. You get to do it in a way that feels good, that feels better, even if that's not the norm, right?
Absolutely. Yes. You can do it in so many ways.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what's something I don't like.
What?
Or it doesn't help. Sorry. I'm all over the place. The other thing that doesn't help me is when I want other people to be okay with my choice. This is not something that hard for me to do now, but there was at a point where I wanted everyone, in my close circle to support the choices I make. But what does help is being okay with disliked for the choices you make, for the things, though, you know, for the practices you do in life, like the way you want to have your career. I'm completely okay with being disliked for making choices that aren't normal for other people. That's something that I
Absolutely.
want
And
to.
that's a normal casualty of not conforming.
Yeah, yeah. Now we could say that. Doesn't always feel that way.
Absolutely.
All right. So,
So that
anything
was
else?
fun. I I'm sure that our audience will enjoy it as much as we enjoyed talking about it, and we promised them we will keep this under 30 minutes. And so I sure hope this is going to be
I hope
under
so
30
too, because we can talk. We're good talkers. We can talk for hours.
minutes.
Sorry. We'll edit. Rhonda, we'll work on the editing. And make sure you bet we're not yapping forever.
But I'm keeping the juicy stuff. I'm not removing any of that, even if it goes like
Yeah.
beyond 30 minutes.
We'll even do some behind the scenes so you can know. Our intention is really to share this live, but Facebook doesn't allow us to do a live with a guest, with a friend anymore. So that's why we're doing pre-recorded episodes. We want to know that all our answers are not like, we don't know each other's answers. We're like, a lot of them are spontaneous, and that's sort of the theme that we're going on, is that our way is not the perfect way. And if that's something that doesn't feel right to you, permission to not apply that. But if there's something that feels good, try it out and see if that helps you too. And also let us know something that works for you. Thank you for
Yeah, we
watching
will.
episode 2. We can't wait to bring you episode 3. We'll let you know what the theme is going to be in 2 weeks' time. Until then, enjoy, and please share this with your girlfriends, with your mothers, sisters, other women that you think will enjoy it. And thank you so much for your support. We love you guys.